And where is the formula? Well, if MPV divided by let's do this. If it is greater than cost of project times 0.01, okay. Otherwise, if it's greater than or equal to negative of cost of project times 0.01, otherwise red light. All right, just for the hell of it, let's try 300,000. Oh, that was too big. As you can see, it's positive, but it's less than 1% of the cost of project. So it gives me a negative, it gives me a yellow light. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Because anything above negative 559 should give me a yellow light if it is negative. So if it's within plus or minus 1% of cost of project, it's going to give me yellow light. If it's above 1% of cost of project, I'm positive, green light. And less than negative of 1% of the cost of project, it's going to give me red light. So NPV is negative 4,600. Definitely don't do it. Again, maybe I could put an input here. Let's do this. Let's insert a line. Yellow threshold. %. Even incorporate that over here. Let's edit that rule. Instead of hard coding 0.01, I'm going to make that parametric essentially. So I could do 5%. In this case, you know, positive 1300 is still giving me yellow light. That is entirely up to you. I'm going to make that a different color of shade of green. No, not the font. The background. All right. Now, let's think about properties of NPV. First and foremost, does it take all the cash flows into account? Just look at the definition. Is there any cash flow that's left out of calculations? Yes or no? And by the way, these are not rhetorical questions. I'm actually looking for a response. Because if you go there, I'll start using my sarcasm. Trust me, you're not gonna like that. Does it take all the cash flows into account? Just look at it. Or if formulas don't speak to you, look at the sheet. NPV is sum of present values from year 0 to 5 in this case, because it has a 5-year life. Basically, it's sum of the present value of all the cash flows. So that's obviously taken into account. How about the second property? Does it take time value of the money into account? Yes, we're working with present values. That means $1 in year 5 is not worth as much as $1 in year 1. Answering number 3 is a little bit of kind of tricky. On paper, there is no risk adjustment, but the discount rate that you're using should be adjusted for risk to begin with. So in that sense, it does. And number 4, NPV is actually the definition of how much value this project adds to the firm. In this case, let me see where you are. This project, as I entered the numbers, adds $1,366 to the firm, or we estimate that it's going to add that much. It satisfies all the nice little criteria. And if you're asking why this is not always used, one of the reasons have to do with corporate governance. When people come up with projects, it's their baby, without even having any fraud in mind. You believe in the project, so you're pretty optimistic. In general, especially projects with long life, it is not that difficult to get estimates of cash flows that are very high far into the future. The trouble is, you are limited by the second law of thermodynamics, okay? Uncertainty always increases, or entropy always increases. If I ask you to make a forecast of your profits next year and you said $1,000, and I said how much money you would be willing to bet that you're going to be within plus or minus $100, you probably would bet a lot of money on that, okay? But if I ask you your profit estimate 15 years from now, and that's also $1,000, and I ask you how much money you would be willing to bet that it's going to be within plus or minus that, you're going to bet much less. In fact, if you're betting the same amount, let's do business together. I'll make a lot of money off of you, because that means you're violating the second law of thermodynamics. I mean, either you're God, then I'm dead anyway. If you're not God, then I'm going to take your money, because I'll find a way to take your money, because you're violating the basic rule in statistics. Forecasting something far into the future is not as reliable as forecasting something in the near future. It's that simple. Because your information doesn't change. Whether you're forecasting next year or 10 years from now, you're only using information right now. But every year something could go wrong. So number of things that could go wrong increase quite a bit as the forecast horizon increases. So if most of the NPV comes from longer term forecasts, then I'm kind of iffy about that. I mean, in advanced corporate finance classes, you can actually attach standard errors to those forecasts and maybe adjust the discounting rates accordingly. But in this class, we're not going to worry about it. I don't think statistics is even a prerequisite for this class. It should be, but it's not. That's why we may think about other things. Plus, a lot of executives don't necessarily relate to that NPV number. What's that? It's a dollar number. They like return kind of like numbers a little bit better. Okay. By the way, sometimes you're going to make decisions based on if there are mutually exclusive projects. You select the project with the highest NPV, provided it is positive. Who's going to tell me what mutually exclusive means? So you have two projects. You're going to do one product or another product. What is mutually exclusive? If these projects are mutually exclusive, let's say one project is building space lasers. The other project is doing a quantum slipstream drive. If you are a fan of Star Trek Voyager, you know exactly what I mean. Suppose these projects are mutually exclusive. What does that mean?
Not directly related to each other?
No, they are actually related to each other. They are. That mutually exclusive means if you select one of the projects, you can't do the others. So, you're going to buy a car. You're going to buy either a gasoline car, hybrid car, or an electric car. If you buy a gasoline car, by definition, you can't buy the others. You don't have the money. If you think about it, even standalone projects are kind of like mutually exclusive, but your alternative is doing nothing, which has an NPV of 0. That's where the 0 comes from. If you don't do anything new to the firm, nothing changes with the firm. So your NPV is 0. But in this case, if you have two options, A or B, or multiple, but you're going to pick the one with the highest NPV, but just because they're mutually exclusive doesn't mean you have to pick one. You may pick one, but you cannot pick two. But you could also pick none. If both projects are negative NPV, why bother? Because it doesn't add value to the firm. Remember, you always have the default alternative, doing nothing. Doing nothing has an NPV of 0. Think of it that way, by its very construction.